or yeah, is it workshop? I don't really know what's the term to use. Maybe training, a little bit of sharing session. By the way, my name is Shahreena. You can call me Reena. I am currently the acting head of Languages and Pre-University Studies, okay, in Ansem Road GT campus in Penang. Okay, and of course, I also oversee the Batu Kawan campus. All right. So this is basically my first time handling this topic because previously it was handled by my ex-boss, Miss Michelle. So she's no longer around, so I have to take over. So thank you so much to TNL for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. Okay, so I think without further ado, let's begin. Because I mentioned to Hazim just now and Ali that I have to end this session at 11 because of an unavoidable meeting that I have later. So I hope everyone is okay with that. Okay. All right. So can I know, are you able to see my slide on your screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Okay. All right. Awesome. Yes. Awesome. So let me open my slides. Okay. All right. So I've actually planned for a simple warm-up activity where we can actually prolong this activity, but because we have to cut it short, so maybe we can just kind of like make it quick. So what I really want to know about the participants today is about your 2024 vision board. Okay, so if you're not familiar what is vision board, so it's basically you have this like, it can be a physical board, but now also it can be a virtual board, all right, where you kind of like put images, all right, of the things or the objectives or the goals that you hope to achieve at the end of the year, or it can be on a monthly basis or quarterly basis. It's actually up to you. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, right, I have actually uploaded a QR code there where you can actually scan. All right, and once you have scanned, you can actually see my own vision board. Okay, so what I've used here is actually a whiteboard. Okay, you can actually take your own corner of the whiteboard, right, and kind of like put images or even write things that you hope to kind of like achieve by the end of 2024. I know it's already
Rena,
March, but
sorry,
yeah.
we are still seeing your title page.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Is the connection slow today? All right, let me just double check. Okay, are you looking at the QR code now?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
We have.
Yes.
Okay, the QR code. So you're looking at the QR code, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, awesome. I think the connection is a little bit slow today. Okay, so like I mentioned, you can just scan this QR code, and then you will be directed to my. Okay, this is my vision board. Okay. So these are the things, these are my goals that I hope to achieve one at the end of the year, and then the rest will be like, a monthly basis kind of thing. So what I want you to do is choose your own corner, okay, anywhere in the whiteboard, and then kind of like just share with us what is your 2024 vision like. I'll just go back to the QR code. Let me just see whether I can get the link if it's easier for you. Okay, so you can get the link from the chat box. Okay, if you're not keen of scanning the QR code, so you can just use the link that I've already put in the chat box. Right, so I see people coming in. So like I said, this is a whiteboard, so you can actually choose your own corner anywhere, right? So choose your own spot to kind of like add, images, add words, pictures, and of course, please put in your name as well so that we know whose vision board this is. Okay, I can see a lot of cursors going over my images and all. So if you're not familiar with Canva, if you look at your left panel, okay, so there are a few things that you can actually use there. You can use the sticky notes. You can also use like existing templates where you can just kind of like paste that and then just omit things that you don't want to know or replace it with your own images. It is actually quite simple. Maybe you just need to kind of like play around, right? To kind of like get yourself familiar with this. Okay, so far, I've yet to see anybody pasting anything. You can scroll in, you can scroll out also. If you think my vision board is kind of like in the way. Okay, I see someone actually putting in a picture already. All right. I can't see your name, but I see it as Squirrel. I don't know who is that. So like I say, it would be best if you can type your name at the side of the picture so I know who this picture belongs to. Right now, all I can see names of animals.
We are allowed to put only one picture or more than
No,
one
it's up to
picture?
you. If you want to put 10 pictures, go ahead. If you just want to put one, because at the end of the day, this is your goal, or these are your goals. What do you hope to achieve by the end of the year, or maybe end of each month? Okay, maybe I can just quickly show you mine, right? I know it's there, but I didn't kind of like explain it. So let me just show you mine. Or okay, so basically this is my 2024 vision board. Okay, this is what I plan to hope to achieve. One at the end of the year, which is to travel to another country. Okay, so that's what I am actually aiming for. Okay, doing all the necessary steps or plans so that I'll be able to make it a dream come true. Okay, at the end of 2024. And then of course also career progression. I hope I am able to kind of like contribute more to the company now that I am in this position. Okay, last time I was just a lecturer, now I'm the head, so I hope that I'll be able to contribute more, and this is actually a step. Okay, me contributing to the TNL. What else? Okay, save money. Yes, I like to spend a lot of money, kind of like finish up all my salary. So now I need to kind of like keep at least 10% of my salary, um, you know, um, as a precaution. Okay, just in case if anything happens, I still have like extra cash hidden somewhere. Okay, and then what else? Spend more time with my daughter. Yes, that's actually a goal because I know when I come into this position, it's gonna take a lot of my time. Sometimes I work at night, sometimes I work in the weekends. When I was a lecturer, not so much. Okay, at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I'll just go back and don't care about my work anymore. But now being, in this position, I can't do that. I need to be constantly, on my laptop, answering emails and all that. So I need to find a way. How do I spend my time with my daughter, especially now she's 3 years old. She needs more of her mother. Okay, so that's what I wish. Be active again. I used to be very active. I used to play volleyball before COVID. Entering a lot of tournaments and all. And then COVID hits. no longer stopped. And now I am trying to find a team again so that I'd be able to, continue playing volleyball. And finally, donate to more non-profit organizations that rescue cats and dogs. So currently I am donating at 2 in Penang, which is Sama and also Cat Beach Sanctuary. So hopefully after this, I'll be able to find more and kind of like contribute more. So these are this is my vision board. Okay, these are the things that I hope by the end of each month I'll be able to kind of like accomplish. And I have one which is, at the end of the year. So this is my vision board. So maybe you can also share with me your own vision board. Okay, all right. I see a few pictures there already. Okay, to save a minimum of 5 gram 999 gold by the end of the year. Oh wow, okay. 3 times 10 kilometer LDR. What does that mean? And then I see also, is that like a sport shoes, like a toddler sport shoes? And then of course we have the image of that lady, holding that skipping rope. So I assume wanting to be healthy, active again. Please do write your name so that I know who should I address this picture to. The connection is a little bit slow today. Okay. So the picture of that sport shoes is actually attached to that long distance running. So LDR means long distance running, a marathon. I see. Okay. I thought it's the LDR camera. Okay. All right. Got it. Any other corners that anybody is using? No, it's just close by. Okay, like I said, you can just zoom in and zoom out. The whiteboard is actually pretty big. I would say the whiteboard is quite endless. So you can just scroll, and you're never gonna end, right? So just to make sure that I am capturing everybody here. Okay, so Aswa, all right, nice. So Aswa is the one who wants to save at least 5 gram of 999 gold by the end of the year. Okay. And then Faris, all right, wanting to kind of like run this marathon 3 times. Okay, at least 3 times. I think you kind of like need to work on it starting now. Am I right? It's not something that you can just like run the next day for the entire 10 kilometers. You have to kind of like start, with a certain distance before you can actually proceed to 10 kilometers. Okay. Times to write things and all that. Okay, the rest, I think there are a lot of people here, right? Now we have 11 of you, and so far we have about 1, 2, 3, about 8 in the whiteboard. Words. Okay, people inserting your paragraphs, text here, your text box there. Okay, exercise more and be healthier, yes. is a pretty kind of like straightforward picture. Yes, exercise more and be healthier. Yes. So how do you wish to kind of like exercise more and be happier? Do you want to sign yourself up for a gym membership, or do you just want to go to the public park and walk around, or maybe just join like a class? I don't know. How do you want to kind of like accomplish this vision of yours, which is exercise more and be healthier? So far I still don't have the name. Oh, Dr. Nora Rahayu, yes. So how do you wish to kind of like accomplish this goal of yours?
Just go to the park and walk with my
Okay, so
husband.
just go to the public park nearby and walk. I mean, that's a good thing still, right? Walking is the best exercise out there, and yet people normally underestimate walking. So yeah, for me, I feel like walking is already good enough. Good, nice. Anybody else? Anybody else wants to add anything? Or maybe if you think that you don't want to kind of like meddle with Canva and you just want to share, you can also kind of like voice out and share with us what are your visions for this year, or what is your vision for this particular year. Okay, I see Ali adding a picture of a bike. Ooh, looks very fancy. Is that a super bike, Ali?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. All right, so you wish by the end of 2024 you want to buy a super bike. So what are you
Absolutely,
gonna
yes.
do to kind of like make this dream come true? Save money, I don't know, sell your old bike maybe. So what are you gonna do?
Find sponsor.
Sorry, can't really hear you.
Find sponsor.
Sorry?
Sponsor. Find sponsorship.
Get sponsorship? You wanna get sponsorship from who?
Anyway.
Anyone? Okay. So for those who are out there who's listening, okay, Ali needs a sponsorship to buy his dream bike. I wish you all the best, Ali. Okay, anybody else? Okay, I don't see anything else in the whiteboard. Okay. Yeah, I wish we can kind of like spend on this longer, but I think we have to kind of like proceed with what's on the agenda today. Right. So the reason why I am asking you to kind of like share me with this is because I want to see what is your goal and how do you achieve this? Because the topic for today, which is your writing learning outcomes, is similar to your vision board. Okay, where you have this particular outcome, right, that you wish to your students to achieve at the end of your class, right? And how do you do it to kind of like get that, make sure the students kind of like attain those, maybe skills, maybe that knowledge, right? So it's very similar actually. It's a similar concept. Okay, you having your own goals, all right, your personal goals, and then you also have your class goals, all right, and what you want your students to kind of like achieve, and how are you going to help your students to achieve that? Okay, so it's actually very similar. All right, so yeah, this is the plan for today. Okay, thank you so much for those who actually shared in the vision board. Of course, I wish that we have more, but yeah, maybe a lot of you are not familiar with Canva yet still. Okay, but trust me, if I am given the opportunity to do a training again, Canva is definitely my go-to. Okay, all right, so this is the plan. I actually want to do the warm-up activity, and we just did that, completed with that. Okay, so at 9:30, maybe a little bit earlier, 5 minutes earlier, we're gonna start with the learning outcome and me sharing with you the domains of learning. Okay, let me just make sure that you guys are on the same page. Yeah, okay. All right. And then 10:30, maybe we can just do a very simple activity, which is kind of like test you. How well do you kind of like understood everything that I kind of like share with you? Okay, so maybe we will have like a few simple exercises at the end, and then we'll end the entire session at 11. Okay, right. So please feel free to stop me at any time, or maybe you can just put it in the chat box, and then later I'll look at it and try to answer all of your questions. All right, so starting with OBE. Okay, so OBE stands for outcome-based education. All right. I'm pretty sure a lot of you, when you're in the education field, you hear this term a lot. Okay, outcome-based education, outcome-based education. So what is outcome-based education? That's the most important thing. Okay, so any one of you know what is outcome-based education? Like I mentioned just now, when you're in the education field, you cannot run away from hearing this term. You always hear this. It's just that, how well do you know this? What is it all about? That's the big question mark. So what is OBE? Anybody knows? Assessment based on practicals. Okay. So you're looking from the practical aspect. All right. Thank you, Faris. Anybody else? Anybody? If you have no idea, you can just be honest with me. It's fine. Sometimes we tend, okay, I mean, the truth is sometimes we just tend to follow whatever people ask us to do without actually knowing the logic behind it, right? So people ask you to do, okay, do this, set this learning outcome, and you just kind of like follow them. But you don't really understand why do you need to do this? Why this particular learning outcomes? Okay, what students are expected to know and be able to do? Yes. So basically that's what OBE is outcome-based education, where it emphasizes on the outcome rather than the process that's involved. Okay. So so OBE is the educational model that is kind of like practiced by, I would say, not to say a lot, all of the higher educational institutions, okay, where we kind of like use this educational model, OBE, okay, where like some of your colleagues said, where we look at the outcome, all right, so basically looking at, okay, where we look at how, in what way the students are able to achieve the outcome. Is it through, attributes? Okay, do you want the students to kind of like gain in the attribute section, or the skill section, or the quality section? Okay, after undergoing this learning process through the OBE curriculum. Okay, so that is basically OBE, right? Measuring students' performance, which are called the learning outcomes. So I believe you notice when you go to your own class, and then you have like at least maybe 3 to 4 course learning outcome, your CLOs. Okay, so that is your learning outcomes. So by the end, or upon completion of that particular course, these students are able to kind of like master the certain skills. So it can be skills, attributes, or even qualities, right? So that's educational model, and it's very student-centered, okay, where the lecturers, they play a role as a facilitator. Okay, we are moving away from the teacher-centered approach already. We are more into the student-centered approach, where students are the ones who are actually detecting how they are going to gain that knowledge, or that skill, or that kind of like, attribute. And the teachers are there, or the lecturers are there, just more of facilitating, make sure that that they are on the right track. Okay, so that's our role now. Instead of us giving everything, you know, all the input, we have to make sure the students have the opportunities to shine and kind of like let us know how they wish to kind of like gain this particular knowledge. So we have to give them this opportunities. Okay, so that's basically OBE to you. So yes, learning outcome is basically the key, all right, in OBE curriculum. So instead of just talking about your CLOs, I believe you also need to know or differentiate the PEO, the PLO, and of course your CLO and your LLO. So there are many levels to this OBE model, sorry, this OBE model. There are more to this actually, rather than just the CLO. Okay, and then after that, we can look at the 3 domains of learning. And finally, you know, at the end of or upon completion of this course, you'll be able to write acceptable or good course learning outcomes using the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so we're going to just focus on the Bloom's taxonomy, although I'll be sharing with you the 3 domains, but we're just going to focus on the Bloom's. All right. Okay, so like I mentioned, there are many levels to OBE. Just to make sure that you guys, okay, at the same page still. Okay, so there are many levels to OBE, right? As you can see in this image here that I am sharing with you. Okay, so we call this the building block of OBE curricula. Okay, of course, the highest is your PEO. So PEO is basically your program educational objectives. Okay, meaning that this is what the, you know, upon graduation, these are the skills the students have attained throughout, right? And how they will be able to apply this to their, you know, to their career. Okay, so 3 to 5 years after graduation. So all the skills that they have attained, they have obtained, they have learned, they have mastered, you know, everything that they know upon graduation, then how are they able to apply this to the industry or to the employer or to their work? Okay, so that's the highest one, which is the PEO, followed by the PO. Okay, the program objectives, right? I believe each school, they have their PLO, okay, your program learning objectives, right? And then of course your CO, which is your course learning outcomes, right? This is the course level, okay? And then of course you have all of your individual courses. Okay, so each course will have their own CLOs, and then all the CLOs should map to the PLO of that department or that particular school. And then of course at the end, how are they able to kind of like put it in use when they work? Okay, 3 to 5 years after graduation. So it's actually, our task is not that easy. It really doesn't stop at just you teaching that particular course, but make sure that everything that the students are getting from us is something that they can use in the future as well. All right, so we actually have a very big responsibility. Okay, if you think your task ends at your own particular course, no, it doesn't actually. All right, so this is actually the big picture. Okay, every one of us are actually contributing to the PEO, the PO, and then of course the CLO, right? So this is the example, okay, of the PEO, okay, the program educational objective for Bachelor of Science is Mechanical Engineering Technology. Sorry, yeah, my nose is like okay, so this is just an example, all right? So basically, when we look at the courses in this particular program, right? So it needs to support all these PEOs that is stated. So each of the courses in this particular program should support the PEO that they have for this program, all right? So now the question here is, who actually is responsible of, you know, deciding all this? The PEO, the PLO, the CLO, the LLO. So who's responsible? Do you know?
MQA.
MQA, okay. All right. Anybody else? Like I mentioned, we're just a lecturer. We are given the table 4, and then it's already stated there. Okay, and then you can like just follow. I mean, that's the reality, right? When you take over a certain subject and then everything is already there, you just kind of like run it. But before that, someone must decide what are the CLOs, what are the POs, what are the PEOs, what are the, of course, the LLO is something that you as the lecturer decide because it's the lesson learning outcome, right? This particular lesson, what are the LLOs that you want to achieve? So that is you to decide. But how about the bigger one? Who decides? So Dr. Ayu says the MQA. Only the MQA? Anybody else? Anybody? The university? Okay, good. Us? So the subject experts, right? So us means the subject experts. Industrial advisors, yes. Okay, so basically it's all of these people. All right, so it's not just the MQA, it's not just the university, it's not just the subject experts. It's actually a combo of a lot of parties. Okay, there you go. Okay, so you have 5 parties here. So you have the MQF 8 domains, which is the MQA. All right, and then you have the external stakeholders, right? Your professional bodies, faculty expertise, and then of course the institution vision and missions. Okay, so these are the 5 parties who are actually involved in deciding what are the program outcomes for that particular program. Okay, and what is supposed to be achieved by the students upon graduation. Okay, so these are the 5 parties. So it's not as simple as just us changing. Okay, it's not that. We need to get feedback from, MQA, what's the relevant domains right now that is out there. Okay, the external stakeholders, that means the employers, the industry, right? Sometimes the students at themselves. Okay, and then professional bodies like the nursing board, the engineering, I don't know what's the term, the engineering board, okay, the medical board. So those are your professional bodies. Okay, and then faculty expertise, the subject experts like us, right? And then finally, of course, what is the vision and mission of these particular institution? Okay, so all of them should be considered when you want to make your program outcome. And of course, when we make the program outcome, it's just not one person alone. It's like a collective effort. Okay, so it can be the entire department, the entire school, all right, where they decide program outcomes. And of course, based on all of this feedback from these 5 parties. Okay, so once we already have all these program outcomes, and that's where you come with your course learning outcomes, right? And then your lesson outcomes, and then of course your student. Okay, so that's actually how it works. All right. So we constantly, get feedback from all these 5 parties. So that's why you see sometimes we are changing our program outcomes. Sometimes we are changing our course learning outcome because we are constantly getting all this feedback. All right. So it's all about evolving, okay, to the current need, right? So whatever learning outcomes or whatever program outcomes you have 10 years ago might not be relevant right now, okay, because the industry is already changing, the education field is changing, everything is changing. So we have to make sure that we are, at that step, every step of the way, right? So that's why we need to know how the process is so that we will be able to contribute better, right? So that's actually the idea. Okay, so when I talk about, the MQF 8 domains, right? To be honest, when I was just a lecturer, I didn't really know much about this until I'm into the position. That's when I realized, oh, okay, we actually have this MQF 8 domains, and we're supposed to kind of like map it when we do our course learning outcomes. And I didn't realize that I was just following whatever Michelle told me to do, to be honest. Oh, I'm so sorry. But now, thank God, yes, being in the position actually open my eyes a lot, okay, to see how the process is, the actual process is. Okay, so if you are like me, where you're not familiar with the MQF, okay, so these are your 8 domains of learning outcome. This is actually version 2. Okay, the version 1 is no longer relevant, so they updated this to version 2. So if you want to kind of like look or try to understand more about these 8 domains of learning outcome from the MQA, or we call it MQF, right? Malaysian Qualification Framework. So that's what it stands for. Okay, 2.0. Make sure it's 2.0. Okay, not 1.0. 1.0 is no longer being used. So when you have this 8, right? 8 MQF or 8 domains. So your program outcomes should be in a way mapped to this 8. Okay, you have to map it to this 8. I have the link. Okay, I have the link here that I can share with you. This is also I shared with my department as well, because apparently they also were not familiar about this. Okay, so you can actually access my SharePoint. I don't know whether UG stuff can access my SharePoint or not. Can somebody try and click on the link and let me know whether you're able to access the document or not? Because I uploaded this to my SharePoint, just there for my team to kind of like, refer to once in a while. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Okay, so please feel free to go through this document. Okay, so they actually tell you in detail. All right, because when you look at each of this, they actually have like sub, like for example, practical skills. You have a few. We have I can't remember. There are actually a few. Okay, there are a few subs in there in each of this in each of this domain. Okay, there are so many subs. All right, and you can actually use the subs to kind of like include in your CLO. Right. Okay, so for example, okay, this is one of the course that we have for languages. All right, just to make it clear, for languages we don't have PLO, okay, because we don't have our own program for languages. Our task is more of like servicing the other departments, right? So we don't have PLO, okay. So that's why when you look at our CLOs, is mainly the domains, all right, the 3 main domains, and then your MQF. Okay, like the one I kind of like highlighted there, the C3B, the C3C, C3D. Okay, so those are mapped to the domains. So if you look at 3B, so 3B will be the practical skills. Can't really remember which one. The B, can't really remember. But the C should be communication skills, and then 3D should be something to do with technology. I can't remember. Sorry, yeah. So it has to do with technology actually. Okay, so I kind of like map it that way. So this is an example of oral communication course. All right, because we don't have the PLO, so we can only put the CLOs and then the MQF domain. But if you have the PLO, then you don't really need to put the MQF domains. All right, so this is an example. Okay, so the 4 stages of or in OBE, yeah, the stages are basically first the planning, followed by the delivery, assessment, and then finally it ends with the evaluation and CQI. Okay. Right. So when we talk about planning, okay, so it's more of what are the LOs we intend for the students, So it starts off, or it initiates with that, okay, that question in mind. What are the course learning outcomes that we intend for the students to achieve by the end of this particular course, or by the end of week 12, right? So it starts with that. So that's where you as the subject expert come in and start planning. All right, because you want to find how best to help the students to achieve the outcomes. So what kind of method, what kind of class, or what kind of assessment, what kind of delivery that you want to use. Okay, so that's where you come in and you plan. All right, and then after you have already figured out the methods, okay, or the processes involved, right? So that's where you deliver. Okay, so when you deliver, you want to make sure that, okay, everything that I've planned, they are okay, right? They are working fine, am I right? They are helping the students to achieve all the CLOs, right? So how do you do that? Okay, so that's where the question, how do we know the outcomes are achieved? So that's where you have your assessment. Okay, so assessment also, it depends. Okay, not everything needs to be paper-based. Okay, sometimes certain courses, they don't need paper-based at all. It doesn't work with paper-based exams. All right, so we really have to move away from that kind of mentality. Okay, like for example, a lot of my courses that I'm teaching, I do not have a paper-based exam. Okay, it's all about the skill base, right? Like how do they deliver a public speaking speech or impromptu speech? How do they communicate with one another? So that's where you have the group discussion. Okay, so it's nothing paper based. All right, it's mainly all skill based assessments. So that's why I put that assessment, because assessment is quite vague. And it's huge. Also, it covers a lot of things instead of just your typical written final examination, right? And then how to close the loop. Okay, so that's where you have all the assessments, you conduct the assessments, okay, and then you kind of like measure the CLO achievement, where you fill in the OBE template. Okay, you want to see how much of that particular CLO, what is the achievement like? Is it above the threshold 50%, or is it below, or is it 100%? Okay, so that's where you kind of like do your own evaluation. Okay, and of course your CQI, which is the continuous quality improvement. Okay, so that's where you make all the changes. If you think that, oh, the students by the end of this course, a lot of the students achieve below 50% for this CLO2, for example. So you need to work on it. You need to do a little bit of change, because you want to make sure the next round this doesn't happen again. Okay, so it's all about improvement. Okay, you improving a certain thing. All right, so it's actually interesting to be in this position. Okay, being a lecturer. All right, because it's never the same, is never stagnant. It's always you coming out with new things, proposing new things, trying out new things to see whether is it working or is it not. All right, so it's actually a very fun and interesting job. Okay, so so when you do all the evaluation, you do the CQI, and it's not just lecturer level. Yeah, sometimes it involves the whole school. Okay, so that's why you have the program review and all right, and then it goes back to that, the first step. So it's like a complete cycle. Okay, so now you do the evaluation, and all, and then you go back, okay, to, okay, what are the CLOs that I want them to achieve? Okay, if it's the same, all right, fine, but you need to change in terms of how you deliver them. I think someone is okay. So it's more of you figure it out, okay, what is the new or novel step that you want to try and see whether is it going to work or not. Right, so that's actually the stages in OBE. Okay, your planning, delivery, assessment, and finally evaluation and CQI. Right, so I'm not going to look at the delivery, assessment, and evaluation. I'm just going to focus on the planning because we're going to look at only the CLO. All right, so that's only the planning phase that is involved, and that's what we're going to look at. So far, everyone okay? Any questions? Okay, thank you for the thumbs up. Okay, so yes, thank you very much. If we don't have PLO, yes, okay, some of the departments, they don't have PLO like mine. For CPUS, we actually have PLO, but our PLO is a little bit different because our PLO has nothing to do with the industry, because CPUS by core is to prepare students for degree. Okay, so for CPUS, it's also a little bit different. All right, for languages, no PLO at all. All right, so that's the first question. And on your screen, the A is from, okay, I will get to that later. All right, and the C is from the CL, the C, okay, the C, you mean the C from the C3B? Is that what you're asking? Okay. So it's actually the C, okay, if you look at the, where is it? Yeah, let me open the, it's actually referring to the document that I shared with you, the MQF document. Just open my MQF document. Just give me a minute, yeah. Okay, so I'll just, so let me just share this page with you. Okay, share this window. All right, so I'm sharing this window with you. Okay, so the C at the front, okay, for example, C3C, right? The C at the front is actually representing the word cluster. Okay, and then the 3C, okay, so if you look at this content, table of content here, right? So the C stands for cluster, and then for example, the C3C, C cluster, 3C means it's communication skills there. You see communication skills, 3C. So it's C3C. Okay, and then same goes for C3B, means cluster, and then 3B represents interpersonal skills. So that means my particular CLO is related to the interpersonal skill cluster, right? Same goes for my second CLO is related to the cluster of communication skills, and then my last CLO, okay, is related to the cluster 3D, which is the digital skills. So that's what it means actually. Okay, the A2, that one I will share with you later. Okay, no, the A2 is not from MQF, no. That's actually one of the domains. All right, that's one of the domains. I will cover that later also. Okay, so just hang on tight. Sharing this one here. Okay, so like I mentioned, I'm just going to look at the planning, right? The planning phase. So basically the question, the main question that we have here is what learning outcomes do we intend for the students to attain at the end of this particular course, right? So learning outcome by definition is what the learners are able to do after a period of learning. Okay, it's basically talking about the student's ability. So you have a 12-week course. Okay, that means in total 12 lessons. How long is the lesson? I mean, that's pretty exclusive to that particular program. Some courses is only 2 hours long, some courses is like 4 hours long, some courses are 3 hours long. Well, that's actually out of our control. Okay, but at the end of the day is basically looking at what are the students' ability when they finish this particular course. All right. For example, upon completion, oops, sorry, there's an error there. Okay, so upon completion of the course, the students will be able to demonstrate confidence in public speaking. Okay, so this is a public speaking class. All right, so what learning outcome I want them to achieve is that they will be able, their ability is to demonstrate confidence. So what it means by confidence, that's where I'm going to measure through my rubric. Okay, so what criteria is considered as, demonstrate confidence. So it's more of the how the posture, maybe, the eye contact, the body language, the choice of words, maybe, what else? Not stuttering when they're talking or delivering a speech. Okay, so those are the criteria that is kind of like part of, confidence. Okay, so if they're able to do that, all right, all the boxes are ticked, that means they achieve the CLO. But if they are giving me all the stuttering when delivering a speech, not giving eye contact at all, they were just looking at the paper, reading from the paper, zero body language, okay, very monotone, so that is them telling me that they have yet to master, okay, this course learning outcome, because they're not able to demonstrate. All right, so that's why learning outcome, we need to know what is it that we want the students to do, okay, at the end of the course. So this is an example of it. Right, so when we talk about students' ability, okay, I think a lot of you are familiar with Bloom's taxonomy. Am I right? Okay, we are actually not restricted to just Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, there are 3 domains actually. We have the cognitive, the psychomotor, and then the affective. So the cognitive is where we associate with Bloom's taxonomy. So you have the 6 levels. Okay, you have the lower one, and then you have the higher critical thinking one, which is the analyze, evaluate, and create. And then the lower one will be remembering, understanding, and then apply. Okay. So this is the Bloom's taxonomy. I think a lot of you are familiar with this because this is something that we normally use as part of our course learning outcomes. All right. So of course, we need to try and how to say have at least, I can't give you a definite number, but we in all the course learning outcomes that you have to have at least the one from the lower one, and then you also need from the higher one. So it can't just be all, the low order thinking skills. It cannot just be remember, understand, apply, right? That is going to be a very, very easy course then. So we really need to kind of like challenge the students. So we also need to have the high order thinking skills, which is either analyze, evaluate, and create. Create being the most difficult one, where they have to produce new or original work, okay, based on their understanding, based on their understanding of the content, the theory, how well versed are they with everything that you have taught them, okay, and they'll be able to create something completely new. All right, so that will be the most difficult one. Okay, so that's Bloom's taxonomy. And then of course, these are all the action verbs, okay, that you are supposed to use when you use Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, not all verbs are applicable, right? Like for example, here I've already kind of like put them in appropriate columns. For remember what are the verbs that you can actually use. So you can use choose, define, name, recall, of course the verbs, these are not just the verbs, okay? These are some of the verbs, right? It's actually a very long list. Okay, you can always just Google the action verbs for Bloom's taxonomy, and then you will have plenty. Okay, so same goes for understand, apply, and then analyze, evaluate, and create. So these are the verbs that you can use in your course learning outcome, right? So this is Bloom's taxonomy. And then you have psychomotor, okay, under Simpson. Okay, Simpson is the one who introduced the psychomotor taxonomy. So psychomotor is courses which are very hands-on courses, like culinary arts. So yes, they also have probably like theoretical classes and all, but a lot of the courses are more, a lot of the courses are related to them going to the kitchen and be able to produce and demonstrate certain skills. Okay, so it's a lot of psychomotor taxonomy, right? So these are the levels. Okay, again, similar to the Bloom's taxonomy, you have the low order not low order thinking skills, low order, maybe, I don't know what's the term that they use. Yeah, I mean, it's quite similar. You have the simple one, and then you have the complex one. Okay, so the simple one being the easiest is the perception, followed by set, guided response, mechanism, adaptation, and organization. So I can't really elaborate much on this because I've never used psychomotor taxonomy in any of my courses. All right, so maybe anyone here is using psychomotor taxonomy in any of your courses? Maybe you want to share with us? Anyone? Or all of you are using Bloom's, the cognitive one?
I'm using Bloom's.
Using Bloom's, yes. So yeah, it's very rare to use psychomotor actually, except for certain courses where it's very hands-on related course. Okay. Our culinary lecturer, yes. So and anyone here? Yes. Really interested to know, because I've never used this, so I have no idea. No, we don't have. Oh, too bad then. We really want to know. Okay, it's okay. Maybe one day next year, maybe. All right. So that's psychomotor. Okay, taxonomy, and then you have the Kraftwerk affective taxonomy. So for who asked me to? Stephanie. Yes, Stephanie. When you asked me about A just now, right? A is actually for affective. Okay. So what does it mean by affective? Affective means I'm not testing their understanding. I'm not testing their knowledge. I'm not understanding their skills, but I'm trying to test them on their emotional aspect. Okay, and this is actually a very difficult component to measure, right? How do you measure emotions? All right, it's very difficult. Okay, so we don't really encourage affective, but however, we need to use affective for some of the courses, like the one that I shared here with you. Okay, my oral communication. So Stephanie, you asked A means for what, right? So A is actually affective. That means I'm not looking at their knowledge. I'm not looking at their connective aspect. Yeah, I'm looking at their emotional aspect. All right. So if you look at A2, so A2 is responding. Okay, so responding means participates in class discussions, questions, new ideas, and concepts. So that's what it means. So if we go here, see, communicate effectively by contributing meaningfully to a discussion. So it tallies with the A2 in effective taxonomy because it's about responding. How do they respond to each other in this group discussion? All right, how they participate in class discussion, how they question one another, how do they respond to one another, how they come up with new ideas, and how do they integrate that into the existing discussion that they have. So that's where we actually put A2 as responding. So oral communication is the best to use effective, but like I said, it's not easy to measure because sometimes students can always fake this, right? Especially when it comes to, are they able to show empathy and all that, that one they can really just fake it, right? So it's not easy. Effective is definitely not easy. So that's why sometimes you can see effective and Bloom, okay, Krathwohl and Bloom, or effective and Bloom, which is the cognitive one, they work together. All right, because if you just rely on effective, sometimes it's very hard to measure because students can always fake it. So I hope this answers your question, Stephanie. So now you know what A means. Okay, so A3 will be valuing. Okay, share perspectives while respecting diverse opinions of the group and is able to solve problems. So in a way, we kind of like relate this to, public presentation. Okay. All right. So now, when you look at different learning outcomes, you can see the cognitive side. So far, I've never seen the psychomotor yet. Okay, not lucky enough to see the psychomotor yet. Hopefully one day. And then of course the affective. So yeah, this is what it means. Right. So yeah, this is the example. Okay, so going back to course learning outcomes, so you know the three domains already. You have the affective, you have the psychomotor, and then you have the affective. Okay, and also the people who actually introduce this taxonomy. You have cognitive by Bloom's, psychomotor by Simpson's, and then affective by it's very hard to pronounce, Krathwohl. Okay, and then yes. So you already know the three domains. Now we can look at the course learning outcomes. So usually when we write the course learning outcomes, this is like the default statement or default phrase that we normally use upon completion of the course. Okay, or on completion of the course, but very weird when you use on. So usually we use upon. So upon completion of the course, the student is able to da 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 da. Okay, and then usually for each course we will have like about 3 to 5 course learning outcomes. Anyone here has more? Maybe 6, 7 course learning outcomes, or maybe lesser than 3, just like 1 or 2. Anybody here? Mostly 3, yes. Okay, so it's mostly 3 or 4. All right, because when you have too many, then too many things for you to do, to be honest, because you have to make sure that students will be able to attain or master all this course learning outcomes. So when you have many, then you have a lot of things that you have to do to make sure that they'll be able to master, right? So usually it's about 3 or 4. Okay, no lesser than that, no more than that, right? Unless if your course is a special course, it's much more longer, it's more than 12 classes, okay, or it's more than 3 months, maybe it's about, I don't know, 6 months, for that one particular course, then probably you will have more course learning outcomes. But for a 12 lesson course, 3 months, duration of 3 months, usually it's 3 or 4, okay. And then must be coherent set that captures the essential outcomes of the course. So each CLO should be distinct. Later we will look at the examples, right? And must be measurable. Yes, that's the most important one. Okay. Every CLO that you have can be measured. How do you measure? That's where you have to figure out what is the right tool that you use to measure. Okay, so if you want to measure them on their knowledge, so you can use exam paper. If you want to test them on their practical skills or certain skills, and then you make them produce something, okay, or you make them demonstrate something, how, what kind of demonstration, you know. So it has to be measurable. Okay, when you just say a student upon completion of the course, the student is able to know 5 principles of marketing, for example. So when you use the word know, how do you measure know? You know, it's maybe, yes, some of you can argue, we'll just give them an exam. If they're able to answer, that means they know. If they cannot answer, that means they don't know. But still, no is very hard to measure for me. I don't know, maybe it's just me being a language teacher. But no, no, the word no is very, very vague. Okay. It's for me, that word is very hard to measure. Right. So you need to choose a better verb. Okay. So that's why it has to be measurable when you come up with your CLO. Okay, so when we talk about learning outcomes, there are 3 things that you have to make sure is in the learning outcome. Okay, the first one, which is the action verbs. I've already shared with you just now. If you're using Bloom's, the cognitive one, okay, I've listed you all the action verbs that are commonly used for each level. Okay, so like for example, the word identify, okay, that's the action verb. Identify the 13 states of Malaysia, so meaning they just kind of like list down, right, the 13 states, or maybe you give them a map, and then they kind of like circle, or you know, do something where they can identify. Okay, and then, or compare the strength and weaknesses of theory X and theory Y. So compare is also the action verb that you can use when you want them to do a little bit of comparison. Right? So that will be your action verbs. Okay. The usage of action verbs, the right use of action verbs is very, very important. Okay. And then second will be the condition. So condition is where the context in which the outcome is to occur. Okay. Like for example, search information on the internet using Google search or Google search engine. So search is your action verb. Right? And what is the condition? Is them using Google search engine only, meaning they cannot use Bing, they cannot use Internet Explorer. Anyone else using Internet Explorer nowadays? I don't think so, but anyway, yeah, everyone is using Google now, so it should be fine. But maybe rare cases, students are still using Internet Explorer, so that's not acceptable, because the condition that we have set here is only using Google search engine. So they cannot use anything else. All right. So I have the action verb there, and I also have the condition there. All right. Or write a report using Harvard referencing style. So write being the action verb, okay, and then they have to write a report. How they write the report, what kind of referencing style is Harvard. And Harvard only. That means they cannot use APA, they cannot use Chicago, they cannot use MLA, they cannot use anything that is out there. They only can use Harvard and nothing else. All right. If you want to be more specific, then you can see what version. Harvard, I don't know whether you have many versions or not, but I know APA we have like different versions. Right now we are at what, seventh? Am I wrong? I can't remember already. So yeah, so you can be as specific as you want, okay? Or you can just leave it like this. At least the students are aware, okay, this is the condition that I'm in right now, and this is the only condition that I can use. Okay, so that's condition. And then finally is the standard. So standard will be the criteria of acceptable level of performance, right? So again, the students must be able to do to this level of performance, the acceptable level of performance that you've set, right? For example, perform numeric division accurate within 2 decimal places. All right, so that's the standard. Okay, the answer, right, when they perform this numeric division, right, the answer should be in 2 decimal places. It cannot be 3, it cannot be 1. So that's the standard. So if even though the answer is correct, right? The answer, they give 1 decimal or they give 3, the answer is still correct. But because we already put this standard, right? This particular standard, so they must do it within 2 decimal places only. Cannot be 3, cannot be 4, cannot be, you know, more than that or lesser than that. All right, because that's our criteria. Okay, or write a 500-word essay. Write a 500-word essay, that is the acceptable level of performance. So if they're able to write 500 word, good, that means they achieved the learning outcome. But if they write at only 150, that means nope, they did not achieve the learning outcome. All right, so this is the standard. So you can have the verb, the action verb, you can have the the condition, okay, and then you can also have the standard. All right, sometimes it's not easy to have all 3, all right, but I can say that action verb should be there. Okay, there's no excuse for you not to put the action verb. The action verb is compulsory. Okay, so it's a combo of action verb with condition or action verb with standard. All right, sometimes you cannot put all 3. It's very difficult. But if you can, good for you. But if you cannot, a combo of 2 should be okay. It's either, like I mentioned just now, action verb with condition or action verb with standard. Okay, like what I have here. Write a 500-word essay. So action verb is the right, 500-word essay is the standard. Okay, but if you want to put a condition, maybe write a 500-word essay using what? Microsoft Word, maybe. So maybe that's the condition. Okay, or write a 500-word essay. What else? What are the conditions that we can put? Using a newspaper clip, maybe. I don't know. So write a 500-word essay using a newspaper clip. So that's the condition. Okay, so for them to get inspiration to write their 500-word essay, they have to choose a newspaper clip, and based on that, they will have to write that 500-word essay. So that's the condition. So I have my action, I have my condition, I have my standard. Okay, so sometimes it's possible to have all 3. Sometimes it's just fine with just 2. Okay, so that's the learning outcomes when you are planning to write your own learning outcomes. Okay, so important notes. Yeah, it's covered here. Okay, it is not compulsory for every CLO to have all 3 learning domains. Okay, the learning domains first, which is the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor. Okay, it's not compulsory. Usually, we'll just maintain at 1. Okay, it's difficult to have 2, but sometimes for affective, like I mentioned just now, affective sometimes it's very hard to measure. So you have cognitive as well. Okay, so sometimes you have cognitive and affective together, but to have all 3, that's just crazy. Never seen of that before. Okay, like for example, CLO1 that I have here, explain the basic principles of immunization, and then I have all 3, you know, C2, A3, PA, and then PLO1, and then PLO3. Yeah, but that is just very weird, right? To have all 3 learning domains. So the best will be just choosing 1 best learning domain, because we're talking about explain, right? Explain, so it's more of the cognitive aspect. So when it's the cognitive, you use C, okay, your Bloom's taxonomy. So C2, right? And then of course your program learning outcomes. Okay, if you have a program learning outcome, you can match it to your program learning outcome. If like courses like mine for languages, no program learning outcome, we match it to the MQF, the clusters, right? So yeah, again, no program learning outcome. So we have the affective, which is the domain, the main domain, the affective, and then our clusters. We map it to the clusters by MQA, the MQF. Right. Achievement of lots and HOTS has to be differentiated. but lots have to be achieved first before achieving HOTS. So if you're wondering what's lots and HOTS, lots will be the lower order thinking skills, you know, the bottom half of the Bloom's taxonomy, right? And then HOTS will be the higher order thinking skills. That will be the three upper levels of the Bloom's taxonomy. So ideally, we should start with the easy one first, and then followed by the difficult one. So same thing for your assessment, how you carry out the assessment, right? So usually we will start the easy assessments first. Okay, the easy assessments with the easy CLOs, right? And then the last one will be the most highest level and the most difficult assessment, right? Or maybe not difficult, but the most percentage, right? Yeah, it's something like that. Okay. So at the end of the course, the students will be able, like example here, so I have two CLOs. So my first CLO is the lower one, which is explain the basic principles of immunization. So that's my C2. And then the second CLO is a little bit difficult, a little bit more complex than the CLO1. Solve problems related to immunization in real life clinical settings. So that's my C3. So it's higher. So your if you have a CLO3, then maybe it should be C4 or C5 or C6. Okay. If let's say that's the last CLO, then it should be the higher order thinking skills, like I mentioned. If your core CLOs is all covering only the low order thinking skills, then it's gonna be a very, very easy and not very challenging for the students. Okay, so you have to have like a balance of low order thinking skills as well as high order thinking skills. Okay, so CLO3 here, maybe create something, and then C6, and then PLO, I don't know, 5 maybe. All right, so yeah, that's how you actually arrange your sequence of CLOs. And then, like I mentioned just now, it's not compulsory for every CLO to have all 3 components. Example, your verb, condition, and setting. Sorry, your verb, condition, and standard. Not setting, your standard. Okay, but must have at least your verb and condition or verb and standard, right? Cannot have 2 verbs. Yes. I think I've seen this a lot. Okay, when I look at some of the table 4, some of the CLOs you have like 2 verbs. Okay, it is not advisable. Okay, sometimes people, again, it's all about, you know, people's perception, okay, understanding of that particular CLO. Certain people will say, no, it's fine. We can still measure because they work hand in hand. All right. Yeah. So if you think that's the reason, and it makes sense, it is okay, all right, to have 2 action verbs, but preferably don't. Okay, preferably don't, because when you have two action verbs, it's going to be very hard for you to measure, because sometimes the students might how to say, not perform, might demonstrate more of the first verb but not so much of the second verb. So how do you measure that? How is it considered achieved, not achieved? So it's very, very tricky, okay, when you have 2 action verbs in the same domain. So it is better to have only one. All right, but if you still want that action verb, then maybe you can have another new course learning outcome. So instead of having 2 action verbs in the same course learning outcome, maybe you can separate them into 2 course learning outcomes. Then it's much more easier, right, for you and for the students. Okay, so example here, state and explain. So state and explain the basic principles, right? Some question papers also, you know, I mean, that's question papers, but when it comes to course learning, better not. All right, so probably you can just have state the basic principles, and another one maybe explain the basic principles, right? Okay, so here I have 3 examples of course learning outcomes, and I want to know what you think about these 3 course learning outcomes. What do you think about these 3 course learning outcomes? Oh, Faris, latex. Did you answer something when I was talking? Understand, hard to measure. Okay, so the word, the action word. Okay, understand, hard to measure. Understand is not measurable. Oh no, that was earlier. Okay. The second statement is too vague. All right, all right. And then the word no. Okay, yes. All right, good, good. So now you can actually identify the error, yeah. So this is an example of a badly written LO. Okay, like the reasons that you mentioned to me. Understand. How do you measure understand? Okay, it's very hard to measure understand. Maybe they understand it theoretically, but when they want to explain, they cannot. So it's very hard for you to measure understand. Okay, same goes for know, appreciate. How do you measure appreciate? By them giving presents, giving praise? Is that considered as them, measuring appreciate? Okay, so it's very hard to kind of like measure all of this. So if let's say somebody before you actually wrote this kind of CLO, and then it's passed down to you, and you have to kind of like take over that particular course, you I feel bad for you because you won't be able to know how to actually run the course, because you don't have a very clear goal. You don't have a clear objective. What is it that you want the students to achieve? Because you yourself, as the facilitator, you don't understand. Okay, so it's very difficult, right? So that's why it's very important that your CLO is checked and is considered as a well-written LO, so that whoever that takes over your subject, they'll still be able to do whatever that you want them to do. Okay, so it's very, very important. All right. Just to let you know, CLO is not something that you can change. Okay, this semester I want to change, and the next semester I want to change again. No, it's not that simple. All right. Although MQA is giving us a little bit of flexibility in changing the table 4, but only for the content. Okay, you can change the content, right, to make sure that it's relevant right now, and then you can change the sources. All right, just to make sure that it's updated and it's current as well. But for credit hours, CLOs, you cannot simply change. All right, it has to go through program review, and then sometimes you kind of like need to update MQA about all these changes, because they need to keep a copy of all the CLOs as well. All right, so it's not as easy as changing. Now I'm changing, and the next round I don't like this, I want to change again. So it's not as simple as that. It has to go through your committee, okay, your program committee and all that, and get approval, the department level, school level, and then finally telling your QA, and then informing MQA. So it's a lot of steps that's involved. So whenever you write a CLO, make sure everything is thought thoroughly, okay, because you can't just simply change the next round. Right? Okay, words to avoid. Okay, you already know the word no, don't use. Okay, understand, comprehend, appreciate, learn, aware, familiar. Actually the list goes on and on. Okay, but these are just some of the words that I can see sometimes in CLOs. Okay, so please avoid these words, very vague. Okay, use the computer, make presentations, comment, design research. Again, CLOs, what's wrong with them? Okay, how to appreciate law? I only know when marking exam paper students actually don't understand. Okay. So what's wrong with this CLOs? No standard. Okay. All right, no standard, yes. Okay. So in a way, it's very general or ambiguous, LO. So use the computer. Use the computer and what? It's too general. Use the computer, that means switch on and then switch off, enough. Use the computer to move the mouse, to click on icons. What do you want me to do? It's more than just using the computer. There's so much things that you can do with the computer. Okay, so it's too general. Same goes for make presentation. What kind of presentation? Is it a persuasive or informative? Is it impromptu? Do you want them to use with visual aids, no visual aids? You know, so what kind of presentation? You know, is it going to be a demonstrative presentation where they demonstrate something? What is it? All right, so it's very general, again, ambiguous. Okay, comment on designs. What comment? Constructive feedback, negative feedback. What kind of comment? Okay, thumbs up only, words, right? And design research, again, what? Okay, so try to make them not too try not to make them too general, because again, you as the person who took over, or you want to pass it down to somebody else, please make it easier for everyone. All right, when you make it very specific. Okay, like what? Use the computer to do what? Use the computer to, you know, help me something. Use the computer to use the computer to, anyone wants to help me? Use the computer to, okay, know how to turn on the computer perhaps, yeah? So that's it. That's the only thing that we wanna kind of like test them. So all the students will pass, huh? So easy. All the students will be, you know, signing up for the course. Because this is so easy. Just switch on and switch off. Anyone? Maybe we can correct this particular CLO. Use the computer to do what? So we need to fix the action verb. Okay, we can't use the no. And then maybe if we can set the condition or the standard. Okay. Use the computer to write 150 words in 2 minutes. Okay. Or maybe we can rephrase, use the computer to send an email to lecturer. All right. Or maybe we can rephrase this instead of you demonstrate the ability to write 550 words in 2 minutes using Microsoft Word. So even though the word computer is not there, but you know Microsoft Word, it's no, it's okay. No worries. No worries. I'm not saying use is a bad word, okay? But if we can choose a better one, all right, like the word demonstrate, demonstrate the ability to, or demonstrate the knowledge. No, I don't demonstrate the knowledge. Demonstrate the was the word was there just now and then it disappeared. Demonstrate, maybe not demonstrate, construct. Okay, construct a 550 words essay in 2 minutes using Microsoft Words. There you go. So even though the word computer is not there, but we know Microsoft Word is in the computer. You can't find anywhere else. So yeah, you can do that. All right, you can change it. So you have the verb, appropriate verb, you have the standard, and you have the condition. Okay. All right. So same goes for the rest as well. All right, make presentation, so you can maybe use the word demonstrate, comment on designs, provide or list 2 constructive feedback comments, on the design, for example, okay, demonstrate the ability to design research using, I don't know, qualitative method or quantitative method, maybe. All right. Yeah. So that's why I say when you create your learning outcomes, you really have to think it through. Okay, it's not as simple as just writing a statement and that's it. I'm done. Okay, you have to make sure that it's very clear. Okay, for you, for the students, and for those who are taking over your subject soon. Right? Because there's never a guarantee that we'll be teaching the same subject over and over again. Right? At one point, it has to be passed to somebody else. Okay, so we have to make sure that when it is passed to somebody else, that person will have no problems, right? In understanding what is the course learning outcome for that particular subject. All right. Okay, let's try. Okay, why my laptop doesn't want to move now? Very odd. Yeah, I don't know why my screen doesn't want to move. Wait, let me just close this for a while. Sorry, yeah. It's not moving. Okay, let me just share one more time. Just share this one. Okay. Okay, all right. So, okay, so correct the incorrect LO. So here I have students will be able to perform research. So how do you correct this incorrect LO? So think about the action verb, think about the condition, think about the standard. You can have all three, or it can just be a combo of two. So can you please write in the chat box of what you think is the best CLO? Anyone? Students will be able to perform research. Imagine you're given this. And now you have the opportunity to fix this. Okay, students are able to demonstrate the ability to perform research using the correct tools. Okay, to perform research using correct tools. Okay, so in a way it's slightly quite general, okay, because correct tools, what kind of tools? If you can be slightly more specific, it'll be even better. All right, but if you kind of like want to keep it general, meaning that it can cover any tool, it is up to the student, then I think it's still okay, right? It's much more better than what we have right now. Students will be able to develop a research paper on the topic of humanity. Okay, yes, all right, like that. Anybody else? Okay, maybe I'll show you what I have. Okay, students will be able to perform research on a given topic for sources within the 5 most recent years using the internet. Okay, so I want them to do research. okay, on a given topic. So that means I will give them a topic, all right? Maybe for when I'm teaching, I give them a topic about humanity, for example. And then if Azwa is teaching the next round, maybe she gives a topic about environment, maybe. Okay, so I keep it quite general in that sense, so that the teachers can have the opportunity to play around with different topics, all right? But the condition is for sources within the 5 most recent years. Okay, so whatever sources that they do, okay, let's say it's 2024, so it makes what? 2019, okay, starting from 2019 to 2024, right? Only within this duration, okay, using the internet. That's it. So they can't use books, right? They can't use physical books, they can't use newspapers. But if they can find ebooks, e-newspapers, I think it should be no problem, because that's the only thing that is mentioned, internet, and nothing else. All right. So by definition, ebook is also found in internet. E-newspapers is found in internet, on internet. Sorry, on internet. So I think, yeah. Okay. Right. How about this one? Students will be able to swim. Students will be able to swim. Swim where? Kiddie pool? Okay, students can swim in the swimming pool with the butterfly style. Okay, yes. So swimming pool, okay, so it can be any swimming pool, all right, but it has to be the butterfly style, or the butterfly stroke, right? Yeah, different levels. Ah, okay, okay. So okay, so depending on the age group, all right. So you want to keep it slightly general. So if it's this course learning account, if you use it with the younger, maybe toddlers, the preschoolers, then maybe in a kiddie pool, okay, you can set it at a kiddie pool. But if it's like adults, young adults, teenagers, maybe an Olympic size pool, okay, with the proper depth, right? So yeah. Okay, okay. All right. Let's see what I have. Okay, students will be able to swim 50 meters. Okay, again, oh my God, didn't check. Okay, in an Olympic size swimming pool using the butterfly stroke. Okay, so that's the condition, and that's the standard. All right, so 50 meters. So they have to swim for 50 meters. That means if it's shorter than that, that means nope, not achieved, right? But if they can do 50 or even better 100 meters, then good. I mean, they already achieved the minimum requirement, which is 50 meters, okay, in an Olympic size swimming pool. So it has to be an Olympic size, meaning they can't stand in the swimming pool. They have to know how to float, all right, and using the butterfly stroke only and nothing else, okay? Right. How about this one? Students will demonstrate knowledge of the work of nursing theorists for self-care and including the activities of daily living. Okay, so this way you have like 2 things. Okay, the first one is demonstrate knowledge. Another one is to include the activities of daily living. So like I mentioned, try not to have two halves. Okay, try maybe you can rephrase it to make it into one. Maybe I can just show you the example here. Students will be able to explain the theoretical basis of nursing theories in relation to self-care and the activities of daily living. So meaning I'm going to use the nursing theories, right? And how I apply this in self-care and my daily routine. All right. So this in two situations. Okay. So I cannot get rid of this. It has to be in the same learning outcome. It is fine. Sometimes sometimes it's okay to have two. Okay, sometimes it's okay if they work hand in hand. Again, advisable not to, but sometimes it's still fine. Okay, so that's why you need to, when you come up with your learning outcomes, you need to consult your colleagues, you know, your head, the school. Okay, someone who's expert in this. You know, you can ask Gabriel. When I was coming out with all the learning outcomes or fixing my learning outcomes, I actually consulted Gabriel for this. Okay, and he gave me the input, and also I consulted the other heads as well in UG. Okay, right. How about this one? Students will understand how to use technology effectively. Anybody? Students will sorry, can't see. Students will understand how to use technology effectively. Anybody wants to try? Anybody? No? Can't think of the action verb, the standard, the condition. Okay. Of course, here the action verb that is used is definitely a big no-no, right? Try not to use the word understand. Okay. And then it'll be better if you have a standard or a condition involved in this particular CLO. Okay. So in this case, I have students will be able to apply word processing, spreadsheets, databases, and presentation graphics in preparing for their final research project and report. Okay, so I need them to use word processing. They need to do their spreadsheet. Okay, use database, and then a little bit of presentation graphics. Right, in their final research report and project. Right, so these are the condition that I want. Right. The same goes for this one. Students will develop an appreciation. Again, the word appreciation. Appreciate. How do you measure appreciate? Right? You can't. So of cultural diversity in the workplace. So you can change it to will be able to summarize in writing, okay, their feelings about cultural diversity in the workplace. All right. So they, instead of we ask them to how do they project their appreciation, instead of doing that, because we can't measure appreciation, or they can fake it, they can lie, right? So we ask them to summarize in writing. So they write what is their reflection, okay, their reflection or personal opinion, sharing their feelings, okay, of what they feel about the cultural diversity in their current workplace, right? So we can do that as well. Okay. Students will be able to understand the economic environment on business and nursing, right? So that's why you can use the word analyze rather than understand. Okay, so students will be analyzed. So when we talk about analysis, it can be like a critic, it can be like a compare and contrast in a way, right? Because it's analyzing at the end of the day. So analyze, okay, the impacts of the economic environment on nursing as a business entity. So I kind of like rephrase this entire thing. So instead of business, and nursing. So I use nursing as my core, but on the business side of it. Okay, so still covering what I want to do, but put it in a cohesive statement, right? Students will understand the importance of cell growth and reproduction, right? Then students will be able to explain the importance. So the action verb here, instead of understand, they can explain, right? The importance. So meaning they can justify, they can give reasons, they can explain or elaborate, all right? The importance of healthy self-growth and its impact on reproduction, right? So yeah. Okay. All right. So that's the that I have. I actually have a group activity for you, but then we're left with only 10 minutes. Like I mentioned, I have meeting at 11 just later. So maybe it's something for you to think about. Okay. I wish that we have time to do this. Okay. But you can just have a look. Maybe you can work on it on your own to make sure that you have the appropriate action verb. Also maybe have a condition or a standard. Okay, so any questions? Anything that you want to know about your CLOs? Okay, all right, thank you very much. I hope you attending and listening to me rambling is it's useful, okay, in a way, right? It does help you in a way, especially if you want to write write your CLOs, and as well as understanding the entire process, okay? Because at the end of the day, our task just doesn't stop at course learning outcomes. It's more of contributing to the entire, PEO, PLO, and all that. All right. So our contribution plays an important role. All right, to make sure that we can provide the students, right, with the right tools, okay, for them to succeed after graduating from our institution. Can we get the PowerPoint slides? Yes, you can. Just give me a minute. I can share it very quickly. Public view link. Okay, you can. I'm pasting it right now in the chat box. Okay, so you can have a look at the slides. Okay, any final questions? All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Nice knowing all of you. I wish we had another hour so that we can actually prolong a lot of the activities and the discussions and all, but I'm so sorry about the last minute meeting. Really, really sorry. So I hope one day we will meet again. Okay. And at that time, we will have much more longer time to actually talk about things. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have an awesome weekend and selamat berbuka puasa to my Muslim colleagues. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum.